Left of the box. Like, who's going to stand up to Doug Ford? You know, we have Merit Stiles. She's the leader of the NDP. She has done some good things when it comes to getting like the Auditor General to look into things and certain commissions set up. But she's not inspiring. The media doesn't focus on her, but of course they don't, because she's the NDP leader, and they rarely ever acknowledge her the way that they should be as the opposition leader. But also, she doesn't really represent the base. You know, she's a privileged woman, wealthy woman. She doesn't represent the working class. She doesn't speak to the needs of the working class or people living with poverty or people living with disabilities. She kicked out Sarah Jama from caucus earlier because Sarah Jama was bold enough to say, you know, Palestinians deserve human rights shortly after October 7th. She's not inspiring. She's not a good leader. She's not going to rally people behind her. But there's also the Liberal leader. Well, maybe they can turn things around and become the new leader, the Justin Trudeau of Ontario. Well, let's see what she's like. Here's Bonnie Crumby, the leader of the Liberal Party of Ontario. There's a new type of Liberal in town. Centrist, sensible, and focused on delivering real solutions to the challenges Ontarians face. Oh. How is that new? Again, could we please stop having all the campaign advisors for Biden and Harris coming up here to Canada? Because we have the vibeflation phrase that I'll be touching on again. And now we have this other centrist, elitist, establishment liberal saying it's a new type of liberal. Yeah, we are centrist and sensible. Like, I know the conservatives are the common sense ones, but we're the sensible ones. And we're totally going focused on delivering real solutions to the challenges Ontarians face. Of course, that's what we do at the Liberal Party. We're nothing like the other parties. You know, they just... Do they not listen? Like, I guess, no, they don't listen to people. That's part of the problem. They never listen to people, because if they did, they would know that this type of incumbency, this type of the same old status quo isn't working for people anymore. So she says, last night was our first leaders' dinner in over 8 years, raising over $1.65 million to fund her campaign. Yay! Look at all this money we made from rich people. With your support, we're ready to take on Doug Ford and deliver more for healthcare, more for education, and more to bring back affordability that Ontario families deserve. You see, part of the problem when it comes to healthcare and the education and all that sort of stuff is the Liberals, for a long time, have been putting in policies to weaken the system. They were already undermining it. They just weren't doing it as much as the Conservatives. And so then when the Conservatives came around, it was just down to bare bones structures that all the Conservatives had to do was boop for it to fall over. Because they were already... there is a word in my brain for what they do that I can't think of right now. This is a new era for our party. Let's work to get and make it happen. If you're with me, chip in here. Yes, give us more money. Yay. And just somebody pointing out, in the leadership race last year, 47% of Liberal members voted to literally but anyone but you as a leader. You were their fourth choice of 4 people. Now, rather than try to keep progressives on side, your surrogates approach me and say that I should leave. Enjoy the NDP. Yeah. This is nothing new. This is the exact same status quo. Austerity, yes. Okay, you guys, we're on the same page. The sandbox. You know, we're one. We are one. You all are my producers. You're great. You know exactly what I mean. Austerity, yeah. Sabotaging and defunding, undermining are all words that are relevant too. But the word I was looking for specifically was austerity. Because, like, I have the story of what happened to my grandmother in a long-term care home and how the last few weeks of her life were just hell, horrendous, horrific. That was when the Liberals were in charge of the province. That was when they had defunded the healthcare system, the long-term care homes so much, where there wasn't even a hospice room available for my grandmother to be in the last days of her life. And when she passed away and we were sitting and waiting for her body to be collected, they put her roommate down for their afternoon nap beside her. That was the Liberals in charge then. So they offer nothing new. They're the status quo. They're the same old, same old. And do you know what this leads to? Because here they are trying to say, we're going to change things by not changing them at all. It leads to this. The polling dashboard from Main Street Research is projecting a 0% chance for either the NDP or Liberals to form a majority or minority government, according to the current polling numbers. Again, I despise polls. I despise them with a passion. I don't think they should be coming out because I believe this is very accurate. There's no doubt about it. I do believe that this is an accurate reading. But what this does is discourage anyone to think there's any hope of changing it, which is really sad because my mentality is you vote you vote with the urgency that you have the ability to change things, that your vote matters. You vote with the urgency of knowing that if enough people do, it can flip things around. But this is disturbing. That despite everything, all the corruption, all the things that I've already mentioned about Doug Ford, the social murder he is responsible for, especially those living with disabilities and poverty, all of that, and he would still win in a landslide right now. That is how completely politically illiterate this country is. Because I say the country, it's not just Ontario where this is a problem. But this country is so severely politically illiterate that we run the very strong possibility, okay, the absolute likelihood that Doug Ford would get back into power now. And this is why I'm afraid of him calling an early election. And I know he's planning on doing it sometime tied to the next federal election. Before or after, I'm not entirely sure, but it will be close to the next federal election. And it is just, again, so disturbing that he will win with a majority next time. Again, despite everything, despite the quality of life of people going down, 1,400 encampments people are forced to live in. You know, all of that. And he would still win. This is why I want my channel to succeed. It's not out of like some sort of, self-indulgence, pride, ooh, maybe if my channel succeeds, I'll get more money. No, I want my channel to be popular, to have enough numbers watching it so that this doesn't happen, to help educate the population, to make it so we're not so politically illiterate. I want to prevent this from happening. Like the original reason why I got involved in politics way back when, not to bring up TYT or anything, but they did actually inspire me to get involved in politics before this channel was even an inkling in my eye. Is that the phrase? That is not the phrase, but it is now. Before it was even an inkling in my eye, this YouTube channel, I was inspired to get involved with politics. And part of that was watching the first election of Donald Trump down in the States and how engaged I was with that, especially with all the coverage. And then suddenly Donald Trump gets into power and a couple things I start realizing, like I'm more engaged with what's happening down there than I am up here. And I want to try to do everything possible to make sure that doesn't happen up here, because if it happens in the States, that they can elect someone like Donald Trump, it's only a matter of time before that happens here. And well, it did. And so I wanted to get involved in politics to do everything I could to prevent that from happening. And still, my goal is to prevent that from happening. It's already happened, but I want to stop it from happening. I want to, prevent Doug Ford from getting into power yet again. I want to prevent Pierre Poilievre from getting in power and destroying this country even more. I need to do everything possible, but with so few people in this country plugged into what's happening, it's hard. It's an uphill battle for sure, but Like I said, there are people who would be alive today had any other government gotten into power in this past provincial election, in the past 2 provincial elections. If any other government had been in power. And we have the leaders of the NDP and the Liberal parties here in Ontario, Bonnie Crombie and Merritt Stiles, and to be honest, I can't tell them apart when looking at them. They are the same type of white woman. You know, wealthy, privileged, the air of establishment, not representative of their base, all of that. And so they're not even giving people good options. It can be very disconcerting, very depressing, but the important thing is we can't give up. We got to keep on fighting back. We got to keep on pushing back. We got to keep on, trying to educate people, trying to turn the direction of this sinking ship, because people's lives are literally on the line. And it's important for people to vote like people's lives are on the line, because they are. And so it's up to, because the mainstream media isn't doing a very good job of it, it's up to other people who have the ability to do what you can when you can. And one of the things that I can do is this YouTube channel. And so I'm doing what I can when I can to try to, prevent this from happening again. And like, even when it comes to the federal election, the provincial election, I know at this point the likelihood of Justin Trudeau winning the next one, it's not going to happen. Pierre Poilievre is going to win the next election. That doesn't mean to give up. And this is part of the reason why I want to get on to the American leftist shows that are, have a much larger audience than mine, because it's all about preparing for the next time and the next time, or preparing for what's about to happen. Because I want to encourage people to get involved with the riding association, especially the NDP one, to start trying to get the party back to where it should be. And in order to do that, you need more people involved in the riding associations to make sure that the establishment within the NDP isn't forcing candidates onto the riding that they don't want, to actually force the NDP to get back to its roots. But the thing is that when you join the riding association, the other massive benefit that you have with that, even if your candidate stands no chance of winning, is you are then introduced to a group of people who are similarly politically minded. And that's where you get to organize. Those are the people that you meet that you can organize with, because it's all about getting ready for the instant Pierre Poilievre is in power, that we're there and ready to push back, that the signs are already made, that we already have our shoes on, our walking shoes on, to go hit the strikes, to go hit the protests, to go hit the streets, to protest, to strike, that we are already geared up and ready to go on day one. And that's what we need to do now. It's about, getting ready, getting our emergency bags ready for the amount of work we're going to have to do to push back against these governments. Again, it's the long game. We fight, we plant all these seeds now for a garden we might not ever see bloom, but it's so vitally important that we do our part now, so that later on, future generations, future groups of people, they have a much better chance of turning things around.